Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. All right, welcome back, guys. Another episode of Innovation Unplugged. I'm Houston Blackwood, Workforce Director for the Innovation Center.
And I am Matt Heaton, Career Readiness Manager for the Innovation Center.
Yeah, we are Mutt and Jeff, Tom and Jerry, Bob and Tom show. Not really, I can't probably say that.
Daryl and his other cousin, Daryl.
Daryl, yeah. Our special guest on this episode, which will be episode 93, is AudreyWebb from the Community College System. She is the Regional Workforce Director for the North and also the Director of Work-Based Learning for the Alabama Community College System. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt and Houston, for having me today.
Yeah, we're so glad that you are here. Always a ball of sunshine and full of energy and just excitement for whatever's next. So before we get into all the things you are doing, give us a quick rundown of who you are, where you came from, and how you got to this spot in life.
Okay, so my name's AudreyWebb. I actually used to be an engineer, electrical engineer at Honda Manufacturing and Southern Controls, and had an opportunity once to teach one class in Houston. As you can imagine, I fell in love with teaching. And so left the industry and started teaching and taught for many years. And before work-based learning was a huge, a big event that it is today, you know, a big opportunity. I was working with Honda and Southwire and a few other companies to get my students to work-based learning, and had an opportunity to come to the system office, Alabama Community College System, and be the director of an ALAMAP, which was Alabama Advanced Manufacturing Apprenticeship Program.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, it was a lot. And it was a great opportunity where we started all kinds of work-based learning programs, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, well, clearly you did a good job. They keep promoting you or giving you more stuff to do. So I guess that's a promotion, right?
Giving you more things to do. That's definitely a promotion.
Yeah. Hey, great job doing that. Here's more, which is what we want. We want to grow.
That's right.
And,
Speaking of your engineering background, you had posted recently you got to scratch your itch a little bit working on replacing a neighbor's piece of equipment on the lathe.
I sure did. I was
heavy equipment.
A lathe. I changed out his VFD drive and was able to change it out, wire it, mount it, program it, all the things. And one Sunday afternoon, and
Was he
just
happy
loved
with the
it.
bill after you were done?
Well, I couldn't charge him. He was a sweet older gentleman that is just dear friends of our family. So he just recently told me it's working great, and he makes these beautiful wood bowls with it.
Okay. Did you wear appropriate personal protection during all the change out?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I thought you would. OSHA is
picture
always
did not
listening. The feds are listening to our...
Do not look at the picture.
We could probably edit it with AI and put a mask.
We could.
All
Yes,
kind
sir.
of stuff on.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And what's cool is you did that on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think twice about it. I was like, oh, your variable frequency drive went out. I can fix that. I would even know where to look to find that.
No, I would be stuck on what does that acronym stand for?
I'm looking for the fire department. Like, why are they? Anyway, no, that's cool. So you also made a post recently, and this is not in our topic yet, but about women in manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. Give us a quick blurb about that. That was
Yes.
a cool story.
So, you know, when I think back when I was in college many years ago, I'm not going to tell you how many, Matt, there was not very many women in engineering. There was 3 women in my engineering courses.
Oh, wow.
So when I went to work for Honda, I was one of the first female engineers that worked in with maintenance. And then when I went on to Southern Controls, I was the only female engineer for that company.
Wow.
So it's really important to me for women to see that these jobs can be ours. But it's hard when you're a teenager and you're looking at different jobs if you don't see a woman in that position. It's hard for you to see yourself in that position.
Yeah.
So I find it very important to help with that. And I sit on the Women in Manufacturing Board now for North Alabama.
Yeah,
And
congratulations.
thank you. And we're working really hard to see how we can promote that throughout the state.
That's really cool. A lot of our guests have always talked about
students or people in general, but high school students not knowing what's on the other side of that fence that they drive by every day. And I just thought last week or this week, we had our asphalt lab tech pilot, which is figuring out what kind of gravel is going to go in the asphalt. And I thought, man, nobody ever thinks about what's in the road I'm driving on, right? So for all those young minds out there, those young women, and my son's 16, Tegan's 16 in high school, and those young men and women seeing the opportunity, and just so you know, like this is the second episode in a series about creating opportunities, which is why I wanted you to come on and talk about all you do, because that's exactly what you do is you create opportunities for people, and your new position on the board and your new position as the North Regional Workforce Director, you get a lot of influence, to do things for people. So let's dig into that a little bit. A lot of things, work-based learning and trying to figure out what that means, and folks know it, they just don't know really what it is. So Audrey, just kick us off with a good, layman's episode listeners, viewers definition of what is work-based learning and why should they be involved?
Okay. So that's a big definition. And a few years ago, along with the governor's office, I was on a committee that really defined what work-based learning was for the state. So there's different types of work-based learning. It could be a co-op, internship, apprenticeship, programs like FAME. And the difference is with a co-op, think about co-op from high school, and it doesn't have to be high school, but that's a really good example, where the students go to work anywhere, and it didn't really go with what they may be wanting to study.
Right.
My son in high school worked at the local hardware store, learned lots of opportunity, or learned a lot about professionalism and things like that. So that's kind of co-op. Internship is directly related to what you're studying, and that could be paid or unpaid. Co-op is generally paid. By the way. Internship could be paid or unpaid. You think about university level and you're in different programs, maybe it's law or something like that, and they go intern at a law firm. They may or may not get paid for that. And then there's registered apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Registered apprenticeships, you're getting paid while you're learning what you're learning at school. We'll get into that a little bit later, more in depth.
Yep.
And then for programs like FAME, that's work-based learning, that's directly tied to what you're studying. So that's kind of, just an overview of different types of work-based learning.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, kids, especially when I was at Calhoun, I'd go and I'd recruit for whatever course, but I talked about the difference in if you don't have a plan, what you're going to make at a job. The wages. And then if you have a certificate, and then what happens when you get a certificate, you often can get hired in, and then now you're getting paid, but you're around people doing the job. And so it's kind of like an internship, even though you're just working there, but that influence of around, just being around those types of people. So it's really cool. It's a lot different than the education system when we grew up, I think.
Yeah. So with the work-based learning, what makes that have such a powerful impact compared to the traditional educational pathways?
So, the most important is they're getting those professional development opportunities, professionalism, clocking in and out, how you act at work, how you work with other people, teamwork, all those kinds of things on top of getting paid, which is important too for a lot of our kids. But they really learn how they're supposed to work. Now, when you get into programs like FAME and registered apprenticeships, they're getting them ready for a full-time position when they're done. And in some cases, in a registered apprenticeship, they're hired on day one during that.
Yeah.
So with FAME, they're hired, and we always say it's a 2-year interview and hope they get the full-time position at the end, right? And so those opportunities are so important for our kids. And a lot of times, kids don't like the schoolwork. They don't want to go traditional 4-year university or even 2-year for that matter. So when they can see what they're learning and apply it, that makes a huge difference.
So that's a big benefit to the students. What is a benefit to the employers for any kind of work-based learning program?
They can grow their own. So many times, I'm going to go back to when I was teaching. Before all these really big work-based learning programs were started, I was told so many times when my students graduated, they don't have any work experience.
Yeah.
They tried to get through and just wanted to go to school straight and go to work. And so with these opportunities, the students can work while they're learning what they're learning at school, but the companies can also interview the students at the same time.
Yeah.
And so they're growing their own, and it really helps.
So you've got the benefit of the student, the employee. What does that benefit look like for that community as a whole?
That's really important. So our students come to our colleges, our community colleges, they live in their community, right? They're going to school where they live.
Yeah.
And so we want them to stay and work where they live, right? We don't want them to move off to other states if possible. So that's the benefit for the community. They're putting those taxes back in. They're living there in the community. They're helping the community.
Yeah. There's a whole conference, like it's called what, Alabama Fuel Alabama.
That's coming up.
Yeah, like April
14th through the 16th.
Saw that. But that's the whole point of that whole thing is hey, Alabama's got some really talented folks. Like why are they going to Nashville, Atlanta, Franklin, Tennessee? You know, like what's wrong with Madison or Prattville or whatever? You know, Fairhope. To get them to stay, you know, and so that economic development, you know, my little town, Hartselle, is, you know, we've got car lots, a couple banks, Mexican restaurants, and some antique shops.
Yeah,
right? Like it's a great place to live.
Hartsville's beautiful though. Hartsville's beautiful though.
It is beautiful, but like we got some top notch kids that need to come back and pay those property taxes and sales taxes and downtown Hartselle. You know, so getting them to stay is a big deal. And part of that is the FAME program. So there are a lot of different types of work-based learning programs. We're going to dive into 2 or 3 today. We could spend 3 episodes talking about them, but the most one I've watched more and I've seen it and been beside it is the FAME program. And it was like one of the first like it. Now we have a few others, Epic and AMP and some other things that are coming. But give us what is FAME and why is it so different than all the other traditional programmings?
So, you know, I absolutely love FAME. FAME stands for the Federation of Advanced Manufacturing Education, and it was developed by Toyota. Calhoun was the first college in the state of Alabama that had that program. And around 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And I remember one day in a meeting, CarCam was a grant we had, and Toyota was telling about the FAME program. And I was thinking, hey, how can we get this at Gadsden State?
Yeah.
And they were like, you can, Audrey. It's a Toyota program, and you have Honda. But a year later, they came back to me and said, hey, we can do it now. So we jumped on it. So that program, why it's special is they go to school 2 days a week and work 3 days a week. So they earn while they learn. That's real important with work-based learning. But what's really cool about it, and I really like the most about it, is the summer before they start school, they work full-time that summer with the company that sponsors them.
Okay.
So that gives them an opportunity to get used to these plants. I remember when coming from Tuscumbia, Alabama, if you know where that's at.
Oh, Deschler High.
Deschler High.
Yeah.
It's a small town. And
It's like Hartselle.
yeah, just a small town. And when I walked into Honda, I was overwhelmed being a young girl out of engineering school and going to a big company like that.
Yeah.
So it's really important for these kids to get that opportunity to get used to those manufacturing facilities before they start school.
Oh, yeah.
Very important. So they get an opportunity to work. They can use that money to pay for tuition in the fall. And so that's a good working scholarship. They can also receive the WIOA and federal aid, Pell Grant, scholarships, any of those things. But it's a working scholarship for them. So that's kind of what stands out with FAME. And of course, they're not going to be sweeping the floors while they're working.
No.
They're going to be working in maintenance. By the first 2 or 3 semesters, they're already doing projects at their company and saving the company's money. And that's a big benefit to the companies.
Yeah, big money for the company, big savings for the company, but for the students, a lot of times these are not, I don't know how to say that word, but the students you mentioned, they need to work, right? And
They could have families or something,
they could,
right?
yeah.
So Speaking of the students, can you break down what that Earn While You Learn looks like for a high school student going through the FAME program?
Yeah, so they'll end up when they graduate with about 1,600 work hours through the 5 semesters plus the summer, and they'll make around 33,000 during those two. I'd say 2 years, 2 years. So that's quite a bit of money for an 18-year-old. It's a lot of money, and then for somebody that really has a family or changing careers, that helps them out. Now, some companies take in incumbent workers where they still pay them the 40 hours.
Okay.
So we have a lot of incumbent workers in this program too. And then there's some plants that they do it competitively.
Yeah.
So that they have to apply to be in this program.
Well, no, that's a great point you bring up. You don't just apply to FAME and get accepted, or chose. You don't say I want to go work at Toyota. Like tell us about to the parents out there who listen to this, or the teachers, counselors. We're going to release this in mid-March, right? And so school's about to end for some seniors. If they haven't applied to FAME, they should, right? But what is that selection process like?
So, yes, the application process is open right now.
Yeah.
FAMEUSA.com. So be sure to apply there. Pick Alabama and then pick which chapter you want to apply to. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. You have to apply, like you said. We get hundreds of applications now at each one of our chapters. And then depending on how many companies we have in that consortium, depends on how many we're going to take. So we don't take more than what the companies can hire because we want every student to work. So if we need 20 students or they need 20 students, then that's how many they'll hire. So we may get 100 applications for those 20 students. We make sure they qualify, and then the companies pick which ones they want to interview, and then they choose their students.
Yeah. So it's not just a show up and get one. What would help a young person who's applying for that? And this is a little bit off script, but what would they want to do to boost their application?
They can have a job, like maybe they co-opt in high school. That's really big. They'll ask them a lot, do they work on their own cars? I've heard that question from some of the automotive guys. They'll ask, do they work on a farm? They're really trying to see if they've ever used any tools. Now, does that mean they won't get picked? No, it doesn't. Yeah. But those are important skills if you really want to edge up.
Sure.
That would help you a lot.
Yeah, I was some time ago. We had Matt Massey from the Alabama School for Cyber Technology and Engineering, and he said in their application process they asked that question, like, "What do you do in your spare time?" And they're looking for those people. The answer they love is, "I take things apart, and I put it back together." That's just one thing they look for, but that's cool. One more question on FAME. Like you said, it started around 2015, 16 in Alabama. Calhoun was the first. How has it grown across the state?
So we now have 11 chapters. We are currently developing our 12th chapter at CAC in Prattville, Alabama. They'll actually start this fall. So we are number one in the nation with FAME chapters. I like to say that, right?
Yeah.
We're an SEC state, right?
Yep.
It started in Kentucky with Toyota, but we've bypassed them now, and we're real proud of that.
What about like California?
I think they're working on their first one right now.
That's right. Take that, West Coast. Anyway, Matt, take us into the registered apprenticeships.
Yeah. So on the topic of the apprenticeships, for listeners that may not be familiar, what is a registered apprenticeship and a registered apprenticeship program?
Okay. So it is definitely one of our work-based learning programs. Now, a registered apprenticeship goes through the Alabama Office of Apprenticeship, and they are amazing. They have a regional director in all the regions of Alabama and really work well with our companies and our colleges. We have a registered apprenticeship at every one of our colleges now, and the difference is it's registered through the Department of Labor. We have 2 companies in North Alabama that is part of FAME, but theirs is registered with the Alabama Office of Apprenticeship. So FAME can be registered too. It really meets a lot of the requirements.
Yeah.
The biggest difference with a registered apprenticeship, or one of them, is a lot of them are competency based.
Yeah.
Which, so every time they get a competency, they mark it off, which I love. I love that the way they do that. But also, with a registered apprenticeship, a student will not ever owe anything. So where FAME is a working scholarship, a registered apprenticeship, they use all the monies first, so financial aid, scholarships, and then if there's any money left at the end, the company pays for the student. So that's a really good opportunity for our students too.
Right. College costs is rising, even with workforce Pell becoming a thing. Many still will not. Crazy that they won't qualify for Pell, but they still need help, for whatever reason. So it's a crazy thing. But having that earn while you learn and making money right away, which is a little bit different than the FAME program, right? Because these guys are getting paid a little bit more sometimes, but they're getting that immediate income. What's cool about that, Meredith was on our show some time ago. She had just gotten her, to become the director of that, but it's cool because that's a state division that works very tightly with us, and y'all are always promoting when we have new apprenticeships around the state. So that's really cool. What do you have any feedback from a company or a particular story about a success story of a registered apprenticeship?
With the so they give a registered apprenticeship award to each one of their regions, and we've had multiple ones that have been really cool. But I think one of the biggest, and you may ask me this in a minute, but I was just thinking about it on the way over. Successes, I think, in registered apprenticeship is healthcare. They now have the RN and LPN programs where students can get paid. If you remember, my grandmother was a nurse, my cousin's a nurse. We have lots of nurses in the family, and they didn't get paid when they were going to school at all, right?
No.
And it was pretty hard, right? So now with these registered apprenticeships, they get paid while they're doing their clinicals in that part of the work. So I think that is so amazing that they've started doing those type things. We've had multiple success stories. I'm thinking of one in Huntsville where a student was at one of our community colleges and was homeless while she was going through the registered program. And now she's one of the mentors at the hospital, mentoring other students coming up through the programs. And we have lots of kind of stories like that.
I remember that story.
Yeah. Sidebar question. So, sidebar. In the educational field, and you'd mentioned the healthcare being one of the biggest successes, do you see students that through the FAME and apprenticeships where if it took you to the end of your degree when you're doing clinicals to realize you don't like blood, or if a teacher's doing their field experience or student teaching on the end, you realize that at the end, I don't like kids. Well, you've got a lot of credits and all that stuff that you put time into that now there's a pivot. Do you see this being beneficial for career changes, or I didn't realize this was part of it?
We usually get that more closer to the middle or to the beginning,
Okay.
Especially in manufacturing. Usually that summer that they work, or they're like, every now and then there'll be somebody, I wanted to be in nursing, and or I wanted to be in manufacturing, back and forth. But usually it happens early on. I don't know of a story of it happening toward the end, but because of these credentials that they receive, that's a transferable credential all over the U.S. So you definitely could pivot. I mean, I went from engineering to education. It's a lot easier to pivot when you have your degree at least, or a certificate.
Yeah, that happened to me. I got to my student teaching and I kind of looked around. Like I had a PE part. They put me in a kindergarten PE.
Oh.
And I was like, don't know about that. And then I got to my first semester actually teaching, and I was like, hey, Dad. He said, nope, you're going to finish the year, and then we'll reevaluate. So it worked out for me, but a lot of kids just don't know because they don't have any experience. So that's what I love about these immersive things. I'm skipping over to Matt's question here. you mentioned healthcare and manufacturing. These apprenticeships don't go just into those two worlds. Like, what all other industries are there that are served by these apprenticeships?
I mean, there's IT, transportation. We have some in construction. A lot of the registered apprenticeships are not a lot, but we have a lot of the union type registered in construction. Those are huge. They have hundreds of people in those, and they're really big in North Alabama and Northwest Alabama. Also, some of the ones that I've been hearing a lot. Actually, this week I heard about one is with AI.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
And maintenance with AI.
Yeah.
I just read an article this week about that and was talking to my son about it. You know, he's went through the FAME program and he works at Honda in maintenance, and they're starting to kind of study and think about that too.
You think that's going to be more of a predictive analytics or post analytics?
I think it'll be a little bit of both, but predictive, I think, will be very important to see what they can do before the equipment goes down.
Yeah, because ATN, the Alabama Training Network, has a predictive maintenance program course that they teach. But I've often wondered, like, that's only so much because you're going to have to use real data, humans, and all that. And I know that spreadsheets will do some cool stuff. But now that we have AI, you take like a year's worth of predictive maintenance to put that into some, conversations and figure out how far you really can stretch that machine's maintenance, like to the point of almost failure, which is what or almost damage, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that right, but to really streamline like the cost of maintenance. So that's really cool. Shift over a little bit to the employer perspective. What's FAME in these registered apprenticeships? What do they do for the employer?
Well, one of the things that I've heard a lot, so just recently we heard an employer say that because of FAME, they completely have their maintenance filled for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And it was because of FAME. I think that is amazing. Now, then I worry, am I going to have any students in my FAME program, right?
Yeah.
Because we've done what we're supposed to do. But that is just an amazing thing for the OEMs and all the manufacturers across the state, that we're really helping them and training their workers, to get there.
Yeah, I would never worry about a company. I would never worry about doing your job so well that you don't have anything else to do, because these people talk.
They do.
And it's competitive, and they have lunch together, and they play golf together, whatever. And so when Bob's Machine Shop over there has FAME students out of, a chapter, and then Sally's Machine Shop doesn't, she's like, well, why are you so good? I said, well, I got these FAME kids, and so like success breeds success in competition. So that's really cool.
They also, I was just thinking about this too. So as I said earlier, they're interviewing the student during those 2 years, and you're interviewing too. It's back and forth, but they get to grow their own. Where I've heard that so many times. Well, Audrey, your student needed a little more electrical, or your student needed a little more PLCs. But with these work-based learning programs, while I'm teaching PLCs, they can give them a project, real life project in PLCs out in the plant. And so when they're done, they let them go. Like, at some of these companies, as soon as they graduate, they're ready to be on their own. They don't need any more training, or
Yeah.
Speaking of the student perspective, what is the biggest life-changing aspect of these programs for the student side of it?
Well, what they make, they're going to school to make money, right? And to be able to have a good living wage and be able to pay for the fun things that Alabama offers.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely say it is life-changing. My own son went through the program, and to be, a 19, 20-year-old kid making money the same as a 40-year-old is really a big change, and really helps these families.
Yeah. Follow-up question off topic. What kind of financial advice training is given to these kids during this program?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that, because they do a little bit, But because of what I've seen since my son graduated in May last year, they really don't know what to do with that much money.
Yeah.
They really don't. And, they want the new truck and all the cool things that they maybe wasn't able to get. But they need some financial advice. And so one thing that I'm on a national committee with FAME USA, the FTAC committee. And one thing that we look at is what other things do we need to offer those students. So
Yeah.
that was something that I requested that we add into the FAME program is some money management opportunities for students.
Yeah, I was filling out my tax packet for this year, getting ready, and flipping through, and there was a line in there that said, "Did you invest, or do you have a child with a Trump account?" Mm-hmm. Right, and not getting political, but like that's a new thing, so you can invest from birth in like an IRA almost.
Yeah,
And if you invest aggressively, like when your daughter's like 3. You invest aggressively. By the time they're 18, they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars because it's got a ridiculously protected interest rate. Now there's some guidelines, but like if someone started a kid with that and then they got to be 18, 19 and got into one of these and started making some serious money at 18, 19, 20, and now they're graduated, now they're making even more serious money, and they started off so well, like that's a whole lot of independent money.
right.
And like I can't use a phrase I normally use, but you get to a situation in life where you're 45 and you've got a fat bank account and you want to retire
Right.
at 50. Like that, it's a life-changing moment. And if you added that financial advice and kids in some years will come with these accounts, right?
Yes.
And now you show them how to really let all that money go to work for them. Oh my gosh. Like you got millionaires all over the place.
Right.
And then what does that do for economic development for the state?
It's going to be helpful. A lot of help.
That's a lot of lake houses, a lot of boats, a lot of trucks, a lot of dinners, whatever, So and my point is, I'm going to ramble for a minute, but we get some pressure about how many high school students we serve with Skills for Success because they don't all go to work right away. But what we are doing is taking their field of view of I don't know what I want to do into taking it, well, it's not there and it's not there, so it's right here. And now we can streamline them into one of those courses and into an apprenticeship or something that fits what they want to do. So now they're not wasting money anywhere and they're making more money more quickly, right? What does that do for the long term of that human, their family tree, and the whole state economically? And so I don't know how to articulately and politically correctly say that to people who give us the money. The legislators are very good to us. Yeah. But when they comment on that, I'm like, hey, we're locking them in on an area of what they don't want to do. Let us keep going there without a whole lot of questions.
It really gives those kids an opportunity, though, to see different things because they may not have ever seen that before.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, we talked with Barry May on a previous episode just about kids don't know what they don't know. And so when you create these opportunities for them to learn and like, what's behind that fence? What's that building really do over there? Well, they're testing all kinds of crazy and now I'm interested, because it's a gadget. So cool. Okay. So moving on, like, there's great information. And I think any parent listening is like, sign my kid up. Like you're signing up today. Let's go. How do they do that? How do they get involved with you?
So we have I'll just go ahead and say we have 12 chapters now.
Get it, girl.
We have 12 chapters across the state, so there's probably one in your community. Go to FAME USA, pick Alabama, and then you can apply there. Or because of those different chapters we have open houses all the time. We have one next week at Trenton on Wednesday night. And what we do there is the companies come, they set up a table. We tell them all about FAME. It's usually parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever, and the students. And then they can also talk to the companies to see what those companies can offer. So anything like that. Also, we go into the schools. Our companies go into the schools and recruit all the seniors. So if your student comes in and tells you about the FAME program, encourage them to, or any of our apprenticeships and work-based learning opportunities.
Yeah. Now, okay, you mentioned high school a whole lot right there. What if you're 28 and you've been working fast food industry, working a job, since you got it because you didn't have a plan,
School
didn't give you a plan.
we love the 28-year-olds.
Okay.
We love the 30-year-olds. We love anybody because, and especially older than your typical high school student, because we want a well-rounded group when we have the consortium. You can imagine a bunch of 18-year-old kids in a classroom.
Oh yeah,
right.
very well.
So when you have the 24, 25, a little bit older student in there, they kind of look up to them and mentor them how you should act and what you should do, and that's part of the FAME program. So it's really great. We love veterans. Veterans is great. My son had a veteran in his class, and they're still friends, and he still mentors him. So any type of person like that, young ladies, we love to have as many young ladies. They bring a different perspective to the classroom too, kind of a calming most of the time.
There's some degree that they'll calm the boys down, and sometimes they'll stir them up. We had, when I was at Calhoun's, a sidebar. We had a line worker class just for women. And it was tricky to fill that because it was just tricky. No one had ever done it. But then a couple of times we had some ladies come through, and one made it all the way through to the climbing portion, and got a job with a utility company. She didn't stay in the industry because she had a small child, and it was tough to be mom and hurricane relief, in Florida. But it was really cool because she got in those boys' grits, because she'd be skidding up that 80-foot pole, and you got some old, lumberjack 18-year-old who's quivering. She was like, "Hey, buddy, I'll race you," and now he has to go to the top, right? But also a lot of times they create a certain detail or focus or just to, hey, let's get down to business and get our stuff done, focus around. So that's good. And I wanted to make sure that we capture that you get all kinds of students.
We do.
Not just the high schoolers.
That's right.
Good.
So from the employer side, if there's employee listening or employer listening that would like to become involved, how do they contact the ACCS or whoever to be one of those industry partners?
Oh, yes, definitely give me a call. Audrey.webb@accs.edu. And we'll be glad to assist you and see which chapter you would fit better, or maybe it's a brand new chapter. We don't necessarily want a FAME chapter at every college because it comes oversaturated. We don't have enough employers, but we still have some room for a few more. Definitely.
Yeah, and what's cool after the FAME, you have the registered apprenticeships don't have to be just for maintenance. Right, like Sunoco has one in Hartselle. They built with Calhoun for production. That ultimately led to maintenance and leadership. Right, but it started. There was a heavy portion of it was just in production to make sure that they were consistent, working towards an ISO status. That everybody would be on some kind of level of apprenticeship. So there's so many opportunities for the students for sure, but for the businesses just to be better and more competitive. Right, which creates then. They've got more profits to share, to invest, to expand, to pay more, or to expand and hire more people, and now they're all making money. So it's really cool. We're getting on into the end of this thing. What makes you the most excited about the future of work-based learning in Alabama?
I think what makes me so excited, because I absolutely love work-based learning. I went through work-based learning as an engineering student at UAH, and I would have never had my next job at Honda had I not went through that program. So it makes me most excited that everyone is going toward that way. If there's hardly a company in Alabama now that doesn't see a work-based learning or want to figure out how they can do it because they need those employees. And the best way to get it is get them while they're in school instead of waiting till they're done.
Grow your own.
What would you say to that person or student that's on the fence, but they're considering using the program?
I would say give it a try, because they will be shocked at how well they enjoy it once they see what you're studying and what you're doing at work and how it mirrors together. I think my son, he wasn't sure. He thought he wanted to be a welder, and then he heard about the FAME program although I'd been telling about it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Somebody
He
else had
started-
to tell him.
Yeah, he started listening.
You told him, Houston, I guess. Somebody
me.
told him. And so he come and asked me one day, hey, Mom, can you tell me about this FAME program? So, because he didn't care for school that much. He wanted to work. And
Yeah.
and so when he realized that it all went together, he's done really great. So if you're on the fence, give it a try.
Yeah.
You can divert and do something else if you decide you don't like it, but it's an opportunity to not have any student debt, to make money while you're in school, to apply what you're learning, and to have a really good, and when I say good, a real livable,
Yes.
you can buy you a new truck and a new boat wage when you're done. So
There's a country song in there somewhere.
it is.
That's good stuff.
We
Audrey,
didn't mention anything about a dog, though. We got to throw a dog.
We
in
have a
there.
dog too.
Okay, that works.
and now I almost went down a different song. It's about a mama and a train and a pickup truck.
Yep, yep.
Anyway, hey, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I love your energy, your enthusiasm, and you have really done a good job of bottling that energy a little bit today.
I did.
Like you got,
I'm nervous.
yeah. But no, it's good. Like your passion for what you do shows, and that's why we like to have those kinds of people on. So
Good.
Congratulations on your new role, your new board position, and all, and to all things that come to you in the next little bit. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Matt, final thoughts and a wrap up, please.
Just thank you for your willingness to come on and share and open the audience's eyes to all the other opportunities that are out there. And we appreciate you taking the time today to join us.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
This is going to conclude another episode of Innovation Unplugged. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all your social media platforms. Thank you and have a great afternoon.